Morning. I'm going to bake bagels. I've just started. I put my first batch into the pot. It's a pot of boiling water here. You can't tell. And these are mahogany boards. Yes, I'm a baker. Yes. Hello. Ça va il? I don't speak French. Sorry. I'm doing well though. How are you? I don't work hard. I work long hours. That's all. That's all I can say about my job. My job requires endurance and some skill. No, bagels. You mostly need endurance for this job though. I bake for 10 hours and you're moving constantly that entire time, so. Bagels, yeah, bagels. B-A-G-E-L-S. Bagels. A bagels. Bagels, bagels. Bagels, bagels. Everyone loves bagels. Bagels, bagels, won't you eat one too? Everyone loves bagels. Flunkies, punks, and junkies, and your mother and father too. Bagels, bagels, everyone loves bagels. Yes, that is what I'm baking today. I am baking bagels. The old-fashioned Montreal way, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, sure. I don't. Yeah, our bagels are worth it. There's a bagel place in Seattle called Altana. And they're very similar to us. I tried their bagels, and they use a similar recipe, and they bake them the same way as we do. So could save the trip. I shouldn't be saying that, but I mean, yeah. We make a good bagel. It's worth it. But there's also Altana right in your very backyard, perhaps. Very, very nearby neighborhood. Altana's worth the drive to Seattle, so I guess it's worth, Rosemary Rock Salt is worth the drive to Vancouver then, so. Found bagels for you. Yes, we boil our bagels. I'm boiling right now. I'm going to take them out of the water very soon. Here, I'll show you a bagel. There's a bagel here. We are boiling it. It's called Rosemary Rock Salt. It is 5:15, I think. We're in this location or store is located in North Vancouver, but we also have 2 locations in Vancouver and another one in North Vancouver. But this is the original store. Rosemary Rock Salt. I'll show you the logo in a minute. Terrible. Bagels. Rosemary Rock Salt. I've said it a few times now. The name of our business is Rosemary Rock Salt. Rosemary Rock Salt. Yeah, there is yeast in these bagels. Yeast is a very essential ingredient in a bagel. Although it might be interesting to try it to make a sourdough bagel. I'm not sure if that's a thing anywhere. I'm not a very well-educated baker. Well, I am an educated baker, but I'm not educated in baking. I could use some book learning, that's for sure. Who has time? Who has time? All I do is bake. God. In they go into the oven. And in they go into the oven. I have experienced baking when I was going to university in my early 20s. I got a job at a bakery and I worked part-time there for most of the time that I was in school. So I had baking experience. I moved to Vancouver about 4 years ago, and this is a job that I found on the internet. I applied for it because I had experience baking, and I've been doing this job for 4 years since, and I like it, so I've stuck around. I would like to go back to school though, eventually. I'd like to get my master's degree in maybe classical literature or children's literature. Sorry, mumbling this morning. Here, I'll show you our logo here. This is one of our bagel boards. That's our logo. Rosemary rock salt. That's an R. Here's the logo again. The bag of day-old bagels. Rosemary rock salt is our name. Our brand. That is our brand, RMRS. I guess I also have my logo on the back of my hat too, if you noticed. A little stiff and sore. This is my 4th shift this week. I have one more after this, and then I'm going camping for 2 days. It's not enough time to go camping, but oh well. It's all the time I have. Hamlin towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied, but when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin wasn't pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's old ladles. Split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to a town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in furry civic robes ease. Browse upstairs, give your brains a racking, find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing." At this the mayor and corporation quaked with a mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. "For a gilder I'd my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little too wondrous fat, nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin. The lips were smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's that of my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table. "But please, your honor," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper." And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat the self-same check, and at the scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon his pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartaria bred the camp, last June from the huge swarms of gnats. I eased an age to the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, brave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, where it all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to land home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses bright, and moving away a pickle cup boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp or by psalteries breathed, called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just as a bulky sugar punch on, already stayed like a great sun shone. Gracious, scarce an inch before me, just as methought he said, come bore me, I found the Weser rolling over me." You should have heard the Hamlet people ring the bells till they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nests and block on the holes. Consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders, the mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. For council dinners made rare havoc, with claret, moselle, fin de gras pop, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Greenwich, to pay the sum to a wondering fellow with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was down at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink. What's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink. It's a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, wasn't joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait, he sighed. I promise a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the prime with the head cook's pottage, all he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen of a nest of scorpions no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver, with you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture piebald. Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling at pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, and like foals in a farmyard where barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping around merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb and the council stood, as if they were changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street, to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. However, he turned from south to west, and to Copperberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top. He's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced, and the children followed. And when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame. It could not dance the whole of the way. And in after years, if you would blame the sadness, who is used to say, it is dull in the town since my playmates left, I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous town, joining the town just at the hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was bright as the peacock here, their dogs outrun a fellow deer, but honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot was speedily cured. The music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich at his easy rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he would return the way he went and bring the children behind him. But when they saw, it's a poem by Robert Browning. The Pied Piper of Hamelin by Robert Browning. Robert Browning. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich at as easy rate as the needle's eye takes camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost and never, piper and dancers were gone forever. They made a decree that lawyers never should take their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, in the better memory to fix, the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sure for his future to lose his labor, or suffered a hospital year, a tavern, shocked with mirth, the street so solemn. And opposite the place of the tavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on a great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. Well, what I find here, I'm baking bagels. Bagels? Where was I? I don't know. I have 2 batches of bagels in the oven. Hello, man. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream, dude. My name's Steve. And I am a man. I am a man. I am a man. A bagel man. Yes, yeah, I'm a bagel man. Alas, alas for Hamilton, there came into many a burgher's pig, a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich at his easy rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should take their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long was what happened here in 1376, in the better memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat. They called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sure for his future lose his labor, or suffered they hostelry or cavern, shocked with mirth the street so solemn. And opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not omit to say that in Transylvania there's a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison a long time ago in a mighty, into which they were expanded a long time ago in a mighty band out of Hamlin towns and Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be vipers, scores out with old men, especially pipers, and if they pipe us free from rats or from mice, if we promise them not, let us keep our promise. There, I got it done. No, it's not Tupac. Tupac. No, it's Robert Browning. He's a Victorian poet. That poem's about, I don't know, it's more than 100 years old, I'm sure, 150 years old. I don't know when it was written. But it's based on a legend from 1376. According to the poem. I don't know if that's an actual... That was when Europe was being ravaged by the Black Plague. So it would make sense that it would be from that. Yeah, Tupac. Oh yeah, Tupac. I love Tupac. He's one of the best rappers that has ever lived. I also like Run the Jewels. They're fantastic. I love Killer Mike and LP, man. I love that band. I love their new album. So good. So good. And yeah, there's some good rappers out there. I like Ace of Rock is pretty decent too. And who else? I'm not a huge. Who else am I listening? I don't know. Yeah, Tupac. Tupac's a legend. He's the best. One of the best. I like a tribe called Quest. I love that. I love that. Q-Tip is a good rap. I love Q-Tip. He's one of my favorite rappers. Eminem, yeah, of course Eminem. Eminem is another legendary poet rapper. Rapper poet. A rapper poet extraordinaire. Yeah, Eminem. Yeah, Eminem. Slim Shady. Marshall Mathers. Yeah. You can't go wrong with Eminem though. Eminem's a good one. He's so good with lyrics. Gotta say. A master. A rap god, one might say. A rap god. I like real old school rappers like Robert Browning. Yeah, I would agree. I would say that Eminem is at least a virtuoso, if not a genius. A virtuoso. A prodigy. I prefer the term prodigy to the word genius. I think most people are. I think genius should be reserved for the very, very few. Like Albert Einstein is definitely a genius, right? And Stephen Hawking is definitely a genius. But then there's, then there's prodigies, and I think that Eminem is a prodigy, right? He can do he's taken what other people developed and he perfected it for his own style and sensibility, right? He's a prodigy. Let's call him what he is, right? A prodigy. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye. Askins to watch the working of his lie online, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that cursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there? And as the road, I guess one skull like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare? If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous tract which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescently I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end described, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go. Free draw breath freely outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, her failure prophesied so oft being writ, so many times among the band wit, the knights who two dark towers search and press their steps, the just failures they see best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple out of his highway into the path he pointed, all the day being a dreary one at best, and dim was setting into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its stray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after a pace or two, then pausing to throw backward a last view, over the safe road was gone, grey plain all round, nothing but plains and horizon found. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw some starved ignoble nature. No, missed that. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove, but chortle and spurned according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You'd think a bird had been a treasure trove. No penury or nertness in grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, in nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If their pussy ragged thistle stalked above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dog's harsh swarth leaves? Bruised as to balk all hope of greenness, 'tis a brute must walk, cashing their life out with the brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath was kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, as every bone a stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, gaunt, and calloped neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of earlier happier sight, ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of old times sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath his garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold an arm in mine to fix me to that place. The way he used. Alas, one night's disgrace outwent my heart's fire and left it cold. Giles and the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts, fall what hangman's hand pinned to his breast a parchment. His own band regent, poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that, back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change my train. A sudden little river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the glooms. This is a froth by, might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof. If you see the wrath of its black eddies bespat with flakes and spoons. Hello. Hola. Flakes and spoons. Sorry, I lost my place there. So I said hello, but oh well. Maybe I'll start over again. Let me just check the time here. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be sent for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and stare? Old travelers who might find him posted there, and ask the road, I guess what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch could write my epitaph from pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescently I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end of stride, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world lies wondering, what with my search brought out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost, not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring, my heart made finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes a farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go. Freely out, draw breath, freely outside, since all is over, he saith, with woe fallen, no breathing kind of men. While some discuss near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man rears all and only praise, he may not shame such tender love in a stave. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, her failure prophesied so oft be writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to our tower search to rest their steps, but just to fail as they seem best, and old doubtless now should I see fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hoary triple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. Oh, the day of being a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red near to see the plain catches astray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after a pace or two, than pausing throw backward a last view, over the safe road 'twas gone, grey plain all round, nothing but plains horizons bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw some startling noble nature, nothing throve. Flowers as well expect a cedar grove, when chortle and spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You think a bird would be a treasure trove. No, Henry, inertness and grimace, in some strange sort word the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, and nothing skills. I can't help my face. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else, one in the holes and rents in the dog's harsh swarth leaves, bruised as to mock all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, pashing their life out to brutes intense. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud which underneath was beaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse's every bone stare stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red gaunt and calloped neck astrain, and shut-eyed beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of happier, earlier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of old time sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold, an arm and mind to fix me to the place. That way he used, alas, one night's disgrace, outwent my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles, then, the soul of honor, there he stands. Frank is 10 years ago, when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good But the scene shifts far, what hangman's hand pinned to his breast, his own band reads it, poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that, back therefore to my darkening path, no sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden old river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No sight, no sound as far as, no tides congenial to the glooms. This is a froth by, might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, a suicidal throng. The river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, dear saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek, each step or feel the spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach the other bank, now for a better country, vain presage. Who were the strugglers? What war did they wage? What savage trample could thus pad the dank soil to a plash? Toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage. The fight must so have seemed in that foul cirque. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse, none out of it mad druids set to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves the Turk pits for his pastime Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel, or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Tophet's tool, on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stubbed ground, once a wood, next a marsh, it would seem now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes and off he goes, within a rude, bog clay and marsh, bog clay and rubble, sand and stark black dirt. Now blotches, rankling, colored, gay and grim. Now patches where some leanness of the soils, broken moss or substances like boils. Then came a palsied oak, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recoils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance, but the evening, not to point my footsteps further at the thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's bosom's friend, sailed past, nor beat his wide wings, dragging pen. Perchance, that brushed my cap, perchance the guide I sought. For looking up, aware I somehow grew. Spite of the dusk, the plain had given place all round to mountains with such names to grace. Mere heights and heaps now stolen in view. How thus they surprised me, solvent you. How to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief that happened to me, God knows when. In a bad dream, perhaps, here it ended then. Progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time, came a click. As when the trap shuts, you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once. This was the place. Those two mountains to the right, crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight. While to the left, tall scalped mountain, Dun's daughter, a dozing at the very nut, after a lifetime of training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself? The round squat turret, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart. In the whole world, the tempest's mocking elf points to the shipman, thus the unseen shelf he strikes on only when timbers start. Not here, not see, because of the night perhaps, why day came back to that. Behind it left the dying sunset, kindled through a cleft. Kindled through a cleft. The hills, like two giants in a hunting lay, chin upon hands to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not see, because of night perhaps, why not hear, when noise was everywhere. It told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers, my peers. How such was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of bold. Lost, one moment knelled the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside, met, to view the last of me, a living frame. For one more picture in a sheet of flame, I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless the slughorn to my lips I set, and blue, child Roland to a dark tower came. Started to struggle near the end there, but I made it. I did the whole poem. Needs some practice, needs a little bit more. Yeah, I like poems. I like poems. I do like a poem. wants to come. I thought I was gonna do the anthem. Happy birthday, Canada. That was for you. Happy birthday, Canada. Mr. President. I can do Hamlin Town again, just for the heck of it. Hamlin Town's in Brunswick, my famous Hanover City. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied, but when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago. To see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in their cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles. Split open the kegs of salted sprats. They nested the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last, the people in a body to a town hall came flocking. 'Tis clear, cried they, our mayors are naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who canter won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, we're sure as fate will send you packing. At this, the mayor and corporation quake with the mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Over a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door, but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor, what's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little to wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister, than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything that sounded like a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin. The lips were smile when out and in, there was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Sorry, I didn't read that. It faded too quickly. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long, queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red. Nice. You work in Paris? Is that what you're saying? You have a restaurant job in Paris? That's very interesting. I'd love to visit Paris. I've never been to Europe, in fact, which is very, very sad. I do contend to verify. I do contend to verify. Does Paris have, do they have good bagels? Where do you get your bagels in Paris? Or do they even have bagels there? I know places like Australia. I ask Australians if they eat bagels, and they say no, they don't eat bagels. I guess there's parts of the world where bagels are not a food item. Does anybody know that if Mel Gibson is on Twitter? Apparently he's in Vancouver right now, and I'd love to talk to Mel Gibson someday personally. He's one of my film heroes. I love Mel Gibson's films, and his acting too. I was a huge fan of Lethal Weapon. Damn, that was a good series, and one of the best cop series on made film. Ever filmed. But anyways, if anybody knows Mel Gibson, tell him to drop by and get a bagel, because I would love to chat with Mel Gibson while he eats a bagel. That would be pretty fantastic. Maybe we could start a Twitter campaign here. Get Mel Gibson to come down to Rosemary Rock Salt for a bagel. How about that, people? start petitioning Mel Gibson. Come and get a bagel. I'll tell him that he should make a movie based on the Pied Piper family. I'm sure he'll make it if I ask. He'll be like, yeah, for sure. Let's make that movie. That was my Mel Gibson impression. Oh my god. I'm terrible. Anyways, yeah, I'm a big fan. So Mel, if you're watching, my name's Steve. I work at a bagel shop, and I want to talk to you. It is true that Mel Gibson is in town right now, though. Apparently, he went to the P&E, the Pacific. What is it? I don't even know what it stands for. Pacific National Exhibition. I don't know. It's a fair. It's a big fairground here in Vancouver. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I will be back tomorrow morning, and then I have 2 days off. Thanks for watching. Have a great morning.